Everybody, we'll just wait a couple minutes until it's 1 o'clock and then we will get started. I have all kinds of exciting things to share with you today. I'll try and get done in my 30 minutes in my time allotment, uh, but I can't guarantee anything. I always have lots to say, so I'll do my very best. But welcome. Be sure and like and subscribe. I'll remind you of that right now at the beginning. Let me turn my sound off. Hope that Hope that worked. Okay, let me know where you are from in the comments. And if you are a newbie, if this is your first time here, oh my goodness, it's still talking. Okay, that should be good. Sorry about that. I had my phone on. I didn't realize I did. So too many electronics going on here. I've got my iPad, I've got my phone, I've got my computer where I have everything running. I have my camera that's in a different spot. And I'm trying to get used to all these different things that aid and help us in our live presentations. I did learn, we did a Zoom conference. Now we have a class, our beginning quilting class has just ended, and we completed the 8-week course. I'll tell you a little bit about that in the end. It's 1 o'clock. So let me say hello to everybody. I'm so glad that you are all here. And welcome Gwen and Teresa and Carol and Janet and Sylvie and Jamie, Patty, Rose. So happy to have you all here. I try and remember to look over at the chat and answer your questions. I'm all by myself here again today. So I'll do my very best. If I do not answer your question and you have something you want to either share with me, you can either post it on our Facebook page, Joyful and Merry Quilting, or just email info@joyfulandmerryquilting.com and I'll get it that way and I'll be happy to answer you. But I'll do my best to try and show you what or answer your questions as we go along here. So it moves really fast too on the chat. And so sometimes when the comments start to roll, then I miss what's happening and what's coming up. But I want to welcome you all here. I am Mary, in case you didn't already know that, from Joyful and Merry Quilting. And I am thrilled to be able to share this time together with you in our daytime Joyful and Merry Quilting Live Hangout. We have our night owl hangout, and this is our daytime hangout. We kind of discuss different things. The night owl hangout, we tend to work more on projects. The daytime, right now, I have a couple of products I want to show you, just talk a little bit about a few things and share some things with you. So I will get started on that now. I just want to begin with a message that I received from a friend of my daughter's. She is an amazing artist and craft person. She just does anything she touches turns beautiful. And she is also just a really kind and generous person. So I had a merry moment yesterday that I think all of you can share in this merry moment. I got an email from her. She writes like a little blog, and in her email, she was talking about going to work at a food distribution center where people can come and just like kind of like a soup kitchen. And she was assigned, or she had signed up actually, she and her teenage son to work there. And she said there were like 4 or 5 other people that were there also, and everybody had their jobs. You know, you get the meal prepared. Some people are cutting and chopping and setting things up and whatever. And so as they were all chatting, her son being the youngest there, of course, everybody wants to know, what are you going to be when you grow up? You know, what are you going to do when you grow up? And so they were talking about that. And she said, everyone else, it was so amazing to her because they were all chiming in as older individuals. Now, she's probably in her mid 40s. And then others were much older than that. One in particular had been working as a financial marketing person for 30 years and now was starting into a new endeavor. Another one was taking up a different hobby. their general consensus, which this is my merry moment, was when we say, "What are you going to be when you grow up?" That tends to put a limit on our growth. When we grow up, I'm going to be this, and then I'm done. And sometimes that can not just put a limit on our growth, but it can actually stifle our spirit because we don't know where to go. What do we do now? We've grown up, we've picked our career, we've raised our family, we've done whatever. And so the when as they were all talking together and discussing everybody's different point in life that they are, each one acknowledged that they are growing. They're not growing up, they are growing. And I thought, oh, isn't that perfect? I mean, we can do that in so many different ways. We don't just say, once I've created my first quilt, I'm done. Or once I have mastered the technique of free motion quilting, I'm done. No, we master and then we grow and we learn something else and then we grow. And then we attempt another, whether it be a technique or learning a new tool or joining a new group or coming up with a new idea, we continually grow and there is no end to that growth. So I hope that you're feeling that as quilters, you're able to look at your growth, not only in the quilting community, because my joyful and merry quilting philosophy, of course, is that quilting is a whole body experience. It has all the things that we need to do in order to keep our minds active, our hands and fingers active, our hearts open, and also just a new way to keep our minds going so that we are ready and willing and able to take that next step. So that was my merry moment. I hope that you can take that and look for ways that you are growing, that you're not just, and I know you all are, because that's why you're here. We're all here to share and to learn and to grow from each other's experiences. And that's what I'm going to show you today. Now, I am going to demo, actually, I have two, and I'll tell you a little bit about that. The needle threader. A while back, I had posted a video, it was at the end of last year, and I talked about there were 10 different products that have, actually there were way more than 10, but there were 10 that I put in the video that I had purchased. They were still in the package and I had never used them or even opened the packaging. And I actually demoed yesterday on our my YouTube channel the slotted trimmer that I again had never opened, and it is a great tool. I kind of compared it a little bit to the Block Lock, apples to oranges, both great products, but I loved the way that the slotted trimmer worked. And so if you haven't watched it, watch that demo. It really was something that it's a little pricey, $31, but I was just so impressed with how versatile it was and how accurate my half square triangles were when I finished with it. And I only had to trim two sides. So if you haven't watched that, I did talk about that a couple of weeks ago. And then I did the actual demo yesterday in the video. But today we're going to talk about these needle threaders. And I was really excited to try these because I'd heard lots of good things. I don't use, I don't hand sew very often. I do when I sew on binding usually. And then, of course, you're threading your needle over and over and over again. And I'm usually sitting in my family room in a chair with a not so good light next to me. And threading those needles can be a real chore. What I would end up doing a lot of times is using a needle that was either too big, too long, or too wide, just because I could see the hole, the eye, easier when I was threading it. And no more. So anyway, we'll talk about that in just a second. There's another product. I talked about the Marcy Baker Sewing Edge product. And this was actually something that I spoke with Marcy on the phone. She's the inventor of this product and also of another one that I'm going to tell you about in a second. But this is the tape that you put on your machine to guide you when it comes to the 1/4-inch seam. So when I was talking to Marcy, I had already demoed this product because I had it, someone had suggested it in a comment, and I went out and bought it, put it on my machine, loved it. So when I was talking to her, she said, "How did you put it on your machine?" So I explained my process, that I use my ruler and I use that 1/4-inch marking, that dashed line. I put it underneath the needle. I tap the needle just to the right. I place my tape. I check by sewing a piece of fabric together, reposition as needed until I get it right. She's like, "You don't have to do that." And I thought, ooh, because I thought it was pretty easy as it was. And she said, "No, I have a tool that actually wasn't intended for this purpose, but you know how sometimes things just happen. And it's called the Corner Cut 60. And so she asked me if she could send me one, and I said, "Of course." So she sent me this quarter cut 60. And what it actually is, it's to cut those 60-degree triangles. That's why it's got the 60 name on it. And to trim off those dog ears before you sew the pieces together. So that was the purpose of this. But here's the cool part. On the back of this, if you turn it wrong side up, which is facing you, the wrong side, she has markings. She has 3 different markings on here. And let me grab my, what did I do with my, oh, there it is, my stiletto. And her markings, she has, one of them says a 1/4 inch, and then one of them says a 1/4 inch. Let me turn it this way so you can see it. It says a 1/4 inch. One says a 1/4 inch plus, and then this one says a 1/4 inch minus. Now, Marcy's an engineer, and she went on to tell me, because we have this big controversy over the scant seam term, and she said, yes, the scant is not a measurable term, but she did define what we are going for, and she said that little tiny bit that we need to move our ruler or move our tape in order to achieve an accurate piece is 1/64th of an inch. Okay, so 1/64th. That's not very much. Eyeballing it just doesn't work if you're looking for 1/64th of an inch. So that's what they created when they did this. So now I'm turning it over, and this is the line. I've got my pointed stiletto here. And when I get to the line, it's a little tiny groove, just a little teeny tiny groove. One of the problems with the holes, some people have suggested the ruler that has the hole in it that you put your needle down in and then you position your tape. And there's still some wiggle room in some of those rulers depending on what needle you use. But that very point, that very tip of your needle goes right in that groove. So if I have my needle here, and then I position, actually it would be this way. And then I position my tape right along the edge, which I did. It came out absolutely perfect. Took me one try. I didn't even have to work with it. One try. I actually had the tape on one of my sewing machines. So I just took the foot off and put this underneath and measured it just to make sure. And it was perfect. So I actually, with all my trial and error, I got it right. But when I did this on my other machine, one trial. I tried it one time and it worked. So we've got the links if you're interested down in, we'll have it in the description here. But this is Marcy Baker's Corner Cut 60. She's such an excellent quilter. She's an expert really when it comes to accuracy and coming up with ways that you can create things in an easier and more accurate fashion. That's kind of her thing. So that's where her products are. Now, if you decide to order these, I want to tell you that you can order any product off of her website. It's quiltwithmarcybaker.com. The link is in the description. And if you order anything and you use JMQ, Joyful and Merry Quilting, JMQ10, you get 10% off anything in her store. We don't benefit from these sales at all. This is just Marcy that benefits from this. And you because of the 10% discount. So I just wanted you to know because I think it's a great product and I'm happy to share her expertise with you. So that's that. Then one more thing. Teresa West, welcome. We're so happy to have you here. Your first time. Anybody else have a first time? Please let me know. I'm excited to know if you're just visiting with us for the first time. We are going to be doing these daytime Joyful and Merry Quilting Hangouts on the 1st and the 3rd. Yeah, the 1st and the 3rd Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Central Time. So you can kind of count on those unless something unforeseen happens and we have to reschedule or cancel. But it is my intention to do these on the 1st and the 3rd at 1 p.m. Central Time. So you can mark your calendar and join me. They're always fun. It's always fun to talk. And I just love your comments too. And I thank you for doing that. Let's see. The other thing that I want you to know is, let's see. Oh, we have something really exciting that's happening. And Joyful and Merry Quilting, we started out with our course, and I talked just a tad about that at the very beginning. But it's a beginning quilting course. It actually is 24 lessons. So you have 24 lessons. It's a steal. I mean, it's not only do you get detailed handouts, detailed videos, and then we have occasional chats. We have actually we had 4 chats in this particular session where we just whoever wants to gathers together and we just share what we've learned or new things. I have learned so much from our quilters just based on their experiences, the products they've had, and the chats have been super amazing. So anyway, that's our quilting course. We have this is the last week. It's ending this week, so it will start up again. I know some of you are on the waiting list. Registration is actually going to be we will send out an email, joyfulandmerryquilting.com, if you want to register to get that email. And that way you'll be notified when the registration is open. Our target date is Tuesday, March 12th for registration to open. So, if it happens earlier than that, we'll let you know. There's limited space. So we want to make sure that if you're interested in joining with us for the next session, we'd love to have you. It's really fun and we learn a lot. The quilt behind me is actually the quilt that we made in this particular course. You may be familiar with that quilt, especially if you're a more experienced quilter, but the techniques and the tricks that go into putting a quilt together, including the binding and the basting and the quilting and the piecing and the cutting and all that, is all included in this course, along with some history and some really fun stuff, some exercise. We have our stitch and stretch sections where once your hands or your feet or you've been sitting too long, we've got a little pick me up for that. It's all included in this. So if you're interested, it's a really fun and great course. And again, I would love to have you join me. So it's 24 lessons, as I said. In the past, we did 8 weeks, but that was only because it was our premier group and we were just trying to find our way. It will let you know exactly how that will go. You will have access to all those lessons and you have access forever. So it will be in your library, and then any of the tips or the tricks or anything that you have learned will be by chapter in your library on the Joyful and Merry Quilting site. And you can go back and refer to them. If you can't remember how to sew binding strips together, go back and look and just follow that section. It's all there for you. So in addition to that, I'm just going to give you a real quick promo, I guess. Just we're not really making a big announcement yet, but we are going to be starting up a new endeavor that is going to be I guess I need to tell you first that the reason that we are beginning this another phase of Joyful and Merry Quilting, not that we're abandoning anything else. Everything else is still in place, our hangouts and all that. But I really have felt the need for a group effort when it comes to our quilting camaraderie. And how do we do that in quilting? We have a guild. We can have a guild that is a worldwide guild. We have people from all over the world that have joined us here and call it the Joyful and Merry Quilting Community Quilt Guild. And I have so many plans for the guild. We're hoping we're going to probably, give you some more exact details as to when it actually will begin. We're still working all the bugs out. But I just want to tell you what we're going to have in there. First of all, it's a guild like no other. It's going to be totally something that we can all share together. We will have monthly guild meetings where it will be, of course, on Zoom. We'll have speakers. I will put out a weekly newsletter where you'll get all sorts of things like history, inspiration, recommendations, products, quilting tips, all that sort of thing. That's weekly, and you get that. We'll have a live monthly training. So it will be just like this, only it'll be on something, in particular that we want to learn how to do. I'll have that. We have an Etsy store. We'll have monthly discounts on patterns there. We'll have show and tell. So you can show and tell your finished products, whatever you're working on, just like any regular guild would do. But we are going to have so much fun. I just can't tell you. As I've said before, quilting for me is a whole body experience, mind, soul, heart, hands, sewing and learning. It's all part of it. And I can't think of a better way than to gather together and to do that. So keep that in mind. If you want to be notified when the guild opens, We will go again. You need to be registered on joyfulandmerryquilting.com. You just give us your email address. We don't sell your email to anybody. We don't take any information about you other than that, so that we know you're a real person and we can send a real person the email with all the announcements. So that's that. And I'm so excited about it. I can't sleep at night. I mean, last night I was up till all hours because my mind was racing with all the fun ideas. And then, of course, in our quilting class that we had more ideas. People were giving us more ideas. So I know that it'll be something that we'll really enjoy being a part of. I hope you'll all want to join with me and create a guild like no other, the Joyful and Merry Quilting community. So let's get to our products here. This is the desk needle threader. Now, this is the one that I had right here, the green one. And I bought that. And the number is Marguerite asked if we have I have a quilter, if I can recommend a sewing machine. I hate to do that only because there are so many good ones out there and everybody has their own feel when it comes to a machine. Now, I have been using Janome sewing machines forever. So I have a friend that's a Janome dealer. She's amazing. She knows everything there is to know about Janome. And so I actually am I trust her very much. Now, she also sells Juki machines and she enjoys it's a different machine, but she loves that one as well. So she also sells embroidery machines, and she says that the baby lock embroidery machines are the best machines that she knows of. So there are lots of opinions out there. Some people swear by Bernina. I had a Bernina, but I really like my Janome better. That's just my personal preference. So if you find a good dealer, that's what's important, a local dealer, because you are going to want to have somebody close that can clean it for you, that can fix it if there's a problem, and that can train you on it. You can't get that if you buy it online. You can't get that if you just, if you buy it far away from home, because many times your local dealer then isn't going to be as excited about giving you a class on a machine that you didn't purchase there, and some won't. So my suggestion would be look and see what you have, what are your dealers that are closest to you. Maybe go to a quilt show if there is one. Lots of dealers will be there to demonstrate their wares, and sit down and sew on a machine and see how it feels. So that's my suggestion. My Janome that I'm using right now, it's the 3160 QDC, and it's a little machine. I think it was, I don't know, $700 or $800, but I got it on sale, and it is a power horse. I love it. I love everything about it. It works really well, and it's a small machine though. I do have a larger machine that's a quilting machine, but this one is a great one. So anyway, I hope that helps you, but I would definitely go to my local shop and find out that's the best place to get your machine and to really have it serviced, and where to learn how to use it. So back to this. And if you all have any questions, please feel free to ask. I'm happy to stop and answer. So when I first showed this, I showed the green one, and somebody posted and said, I had the green one, it didn't work, but the pink one works. So I bought the pink one. Honestly, I cannot find a difference between the pink and the green. The green one is the Clover 4072. So I went to their website and I copied down all of the description, everything, and I went directly to the Clover website for this, everything about it. And then I did the same thing for the Clover 4057 pink. Now the fronts look a little bit different. I mean, one's got purple and one's got more of a yellow in the backing. I opened up the instructions, exactly the same. If you open up the packaging, it just unfolds. And then this cardboard actually is filled with all the instructions on how to use it. And they're written in several languages, and that's why it looks so long. It's really not hard at all. So as I looked and I compared these and I compared their website descriptions, I can't find a difference between the two. To me, they looked exactly the same. And when I used it, they worked exactly the same. Now, there were a couple things when I first started using it that maybe, because some people said, love it, love it, love it. And other people said, hate it, can't stand it, doesn't work. And so when I looked at this, I thought, I'm going to test it out just blindly. I'm going to look at the instructions. It says it has little spots on here where the cutter is, where you put the thread, and where you put your needle. And I'm just going to do it and see. And the first time I did it, it didn't work. And so I thought it didn't work. And so the reason it didn't work was because I had my needle in upside down. So then I tried it again, and I put it in there, and when I put the thread on it, and I'll show you how I did that, I held it too tight so that when the thread pops through the needle eye, it couldn't pop through because I had it too tight and it didn't go in. I didn't realize that at the time, but then I thought, "Oh, geez, it doesn't work again." But then I read, and it tells you specifically in the instructions when you are putting your thread in there, it says that it works quickly, but it tells you, first of all, you insert the thread and hold it gently. That's you got to let the thread pull through the eye of the needle. And I think that might be because that's what I did. I held it too tight. I think that might be the issue some people had. So I'm just going to show you how great this little thing is. I'll turn my camera down and I'll try and put it, I'll put it right here. Okay. So this is my threader. There's a cutter up here. I didn't use the cutter. I cut a piece of thread. But there is a place right here that says needle slot, and it's a hole, and your needle goes down in the hole. Now you can't use a really thick needle, a large needle, because well, first of all, the eye of that needle is pretty big, so you should be able to see that without a needle threader, hopefully. But if it's giving you any resistance when you're putting your needle in, the needle is too big. Don't put it in there. But what I wanted to know is it going to work with my sewing needles? And this is what I have here. Now I have 4 needles. My first needle is a sharp. It's a size 11. Oops, let me move it down. Oop, this way. It's backwards. It's hard for me to see. This is a sharp 11. That's what I use a lot of times when when I'm quilting, when I'm sewing on my binding. It's a little too long to sew on binding, but it has a little bit larger eye, and that's why I liked it. I just really struggled with these others to get them threaded. The second one that I have is actually, this one is a size 9. And so it's still sharp. It's a size 9, which means it's a little bit thicker. The smaller the number, the thinner the needle. This one is a size 10 between. Now the sharps, those are the ones they're longer and they're still numbered, but the betweens are shorter, used more for quilting. And this is a size 10 between, which is what I've always used. It looks like this, and you'll see the number on them. We have size 10, and then you can see they're teeny tiny needles. And then my last one here is a size 12 between. When I do a lot of hand quilting, I would use the size 12 just because it helped me to get my stitches closer together. I haven't done a lot of hand quilting recently, but I do like the very golly, I do I do like the small needle for that. So the thread that I tested, I wanted another thing that they said, I've got black and I have gold. And here they are. I have an Aurifil black 50 weight. That's this one. And then I wanted to test, they said one of the other things people have trouble with are like the rayon threads or the polyesters that are used for embroidery, because or maybe if you're doing wool and you're doing some outside stitching, the issue is they shred at the end. And so you can only lick those so many times and try and shove them through the needle. And if the eye of the needle is very small, it's really difficult to do that. So I wanted to test one of these and then just a regular thread that I use, a 50 weight thread. So that's what I did. So first of all, I have my black thread. I was hoping that you'd be able to see it just because it's dark, but it's a little hard. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that needle. I'm going to take the first one, my sharp, and you want to make sure that the pointed side is down. I'm sorry. You want to make sure that the eye of the needle goes in first and the pointed side is pointed up. So I'm going to put it in here in the needle slot. Just put it right in like that. Then the place that I put, and you can see it says right there, thread slot. I'm going to put my thread across, and this is where I held it tight that first time, and I shouldn't. So I'm just going to like sort of hold it there. And then all I'm going to do, and I'm doing this backwards so you can see it. You just push this little thing down, this little lever. This is the key. You have to slowly pull it out. Don't yank it out because the thread is barely in the hole. So if I pull it out, whoops, no, that didn't work. I pull it out, look at that. You can see that it's folded in half and it's through the hole. So then you just take it and you pull it through and your needle is threaded. Isn't that slick? I mean, that just works really well. And there you go. So you've got your needle threaded. And this is actually the largest of the needles, but if I hold it, I mean, it's not very large. It's very teeny. So you can see. Okay, so that's the largest. That was my sharp size 11. Now I'm going to show you the 9. The 9 is noticeably thicker. I can feel it. I'm going to put the eye of the needle, of course, down in there. The point is up at the top. And the same thing. So our needles are getting smaller, which means the eye is getting smaller. Look at there. There it is again. It's all in there. I hope you can see that. But there it is. And then again, it's folded in half. So you're going to hang on to the one end as you pull the other end out. And there your needle is threaded again. So this is the sharp size 9. Now we're getting into the big guns here because we're talking about the between size 10. Betweens is what they're called. I don't know why they're called that. They're called betweens. So this is a teeny tiny needle. Be really careful. Don't drop this in your chair when you're sitting there because you're not going to want to sit on this to find it. So be really careful. There's the sharp point on this end. The eye is on this end. So the eye is going to go down into the needle hole, needle slot. And once again, we're going to place that. And this is the one that I really, really think is important for me. And look at that. Still exactly the same. It was perfect. And then I'll pull it through just like I did the other one. So that's the between size 10. Now here's the one, that quilting needle, that between size 12, that is just as big as my thumb. And I'm going to put the eye down in here. And I'm going to take my thread and do the same thing. Gently. And look there it is. It's through the eye. Hopefully you can see that little tiny piece just right through the eye. Hang on to this other one or you're going to pull it out. And there we have it again. We have our needle threaded. Now, so it works with just the regular thread, the 50 weight. But let's see if that little teeny tiny needle works with that rayon thread, because like I said, this is so hard to work with when it comes to threading the needle because it shreds and it's really thin. So I'm going to take my 12 and I'm turning that. I have to feel it to see which end has the eye. Yeah, there it is. Okay, we'll put that down in there. Once again, same spot. Whoops. Placing it on here. And then I hope I got that because I think I felt it pull. Oh, it still worked. Look at that. There it is. And there we have our needle is threaded with that yellow thin rayon thread. So, wasn't that great? Okay, I was so excited to see that this actually worked. And what makes me, again, as I've said with all of these products, is it makes me sad that I've left them sit in a drawer and I never tried them out. Now, I did try this and I'm not going to demo this because this was the one that, like I said, somebody said the green doesn't work, but the pink does. Well, you can obviously see that the green worked really well. And if you look at the pink and compare it, I even putting them together, they're just exactly the same. There's not a single thing that's different with these two. The color is prettier. I mean, the pink is really pretty. So, whatever one you decide to use, but I was excited. I think it's a really good product if you do hand sewing, or maybe you've given up on hand sewing a little bit just because, you can't thread the needles and it's hard to do that. Sometimes people will thread a whole bunch of needles and there's those little holders that you can thread a bunch of needles at one time. This would be perfect for that. You just thread, put them all in the holder, and then they're ready to go until it's time for you to do another one. Now, When you are threading your needle, one thing you want to remember is that it's important that you don't cut your thread super long. That's another mistake that we make when we're quilting. We cut it really long because we don't want to thread our needle a whole bunch of times. Well, two things can happen, probably more, but two that I can think of. It can easily get tangled. Now you can string it over beeswax. There are those little beeswax thread things that you can put to make it a little stiffer and make it go through your fabric easier. You can do that, but the thread, the more that it comes in contact with your needle as you're sewing with that eye of your needle, it starts to shred it. And eventually you're going to weaken that thread as it goes through. And the thread that you started with is going to be much stronger than the piece that you're finishing with. And that's not a good thing because you don't want weaker stitches before you tie off and start a new thread. So it's important. Usually it's about the length of your arm is how long you want, and maybe just a tiny bit longer. But I usually use that's mine. I use my arm as my length, and then I just thread my needles and I go through. So anyway, I hope that helped you. Let me see if there's any comments or questions here. Like I said, I'm alone, so I want to make sure that uh, yes, everybody is agreeing. I think that we buy from our local dealers. You just can't beat the service. You can't beat the lessons. I mean, that is so important. Our machines anymore, first of all, they're computerized. Most of them are, and they have so many options on them that we don't even realize. We have to really take a class and learn about it in order to get the full benefit. Now, there are also some machines. I'm thinking it's a Juki that only sews straight seams that just for quilting, and that's what people use it for, and they don't need it for all the fancy stuff, and it's still a really good quality machine. So that's something you may want to check out also. Find out, is there a machine that's more appropriate for quilting as compared to someone who does clothing or garment making? There are many different features on machines based on what it's used for. So that's why I've got the quilting machine, and it still has a lot of those other features on it, but I just really love it. Okay, so let's see if we have. Um, yes, Mary Sue says she puts them on 10 needles at a time, and puts them on the holder, and those are really good. I don't have one here to show you, but you can look those up. Those needle holders, and they work really well. Let's see. Yes, someone else suggested when buying a sewing machine that you look online and then compare different, see what the reviews are. That's really important too, because sometimes, now keep in mind, people that are really satisfied don't always go and review. It's the people that are angry and upset with the model, they go and do the review because they've had an issue with it. So you have to kind of keep that mindset that what you're reviewing, you want to make sure that you also give it a test and look several places. Don't just look in one spot. See what people think of the machines. I mean, this is a big investment. You want to make sure you have something that you're happy with and something that you can use. Now, I'll show you, see if I can do it. There's mine. And it's rather small, as you can see, but it's a power horse. It works really well. I am so happy with it. And it has just all the features that I wanted, that I need, that I use. So anyway, and then plus my little So Easy table. I love that too. But anyway, is there any questions or anything? I always, when I look really close and I get this really ugly face while I'm trying to squint my eyes to see what's on there. But anyway, I think that's probably it for today. I'm so excited to have you join me. Of course, I'm way over time, and I apologize for taking your time. We want to make sure, please like and subscribe if you are interested in receiving our emails and joining the guild. Go to joyfulandmerryquilting.com and just enter your email address. That's all you have to do. The beginning quilter course is there listed in the store. So if you go to the store, you can get put on the waiting list right now until registration actually opens. We do have a pretty good waiting list. So you want to get your name on there so that we can notify you, and then you can register when you're ready to do that. But thank you everybody for coming. Thank you for joining in on our daytime Joyful and Merry Quilting Hangout. It's always fun to hang out with quilters, especially with you all. I am grateful for your support. and for sharing our channel, sharing what we do with others so that they can come and be a part of our group as well. So thank you, everyone. And if you are joining us late, if you did not watch the live, everything is still the same. You can still comment if you have any comments to make, and I will do my best to answer every comment that's put in there as well as on my other videos. So thank you again for joining me. We will once again, I will see you in 2 weeks. So that's going to be, get my calendar out. I thought I had that written down. Today is the 6th, so we will be, it will be on the 20th. I will see you on the 20th at 1 PM. It's a Wednesday for our hangout, and I can't wait. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know what we're gonna do, but there'll be another product review because I still have a lot of stuff in that bin that I found, and we'll talk to you then. Thank you again for joining me, and have an absolutely joyful and merry week. I am always trying to be joyful. And it was really easy this week because I had way more joyful moments than I even shared with you, but I will always be merry. So thank you again, and keep in touch.